Okay, so today we learned about factoring polynomials and then using that to find the solutions, or the zeros of the polynomial. So this is going to be problem 5 from your homework assignment. And our first step is always to make sure that it's equal to 0, which this one is already. So we're good to go to start. And then we have to pull out the greatest common factor. So all three of these things are divisible by 5. So we're going to pull out a 5. So we have 5 times x to the 4th plus 10x squared plus 16 equals 0. So now we have 3 terms, and we know how to factor with 3 terms. What we do is, since our leading coefficient is 1, we can just take 16 and go, okay, what multiplies to get 16 and adds to get 10? So if we're not sure, we can start going through, okay, we have 1 and 16. Nope, that doesn't work. And then we also have 2 and 8. And we didn't have to go very far for this one. 8 plus 2 is 10. So we can rewrite this as x to the 4th plus 8x squared plus 2x squared plus 16 equals 0. So 8x squared plus 2x squared is still 10x squared. So we're still okay for that. Didn't change the value of the function. So now we can take our approach of splitting things down the middle. And we can end up with x squared is the GCF on this side. So we have x squared times x squared plus 8 left over. And then we have, on this side, our GCF is just going to be 2. So we have 2 times x squared plus 8. And we know we did it right when both the things in the parentheses are the same. And then, of course, we still have our 5 here hanging out with us on the outside. All right, now to finish factoring, we just have x squared plus 8. So we take our thing in the parentheses. And then we also have x squared plus 2. So whatever's left over we put here. And we have our 5 still on the outside. Okay, so we've gotten it down this far. We can't really factor this any further. So now what we have to do is grab that quadratic formula that we know. And so for this first equation, we have to do the quadratic formula for this one and for this one. They're both quadratics. For this one, our a value is going to be 1 since we have 1x squared. Our b value is going to be 0 because we have 0x. And our c value is going to be 8. So putting that into the quadratic formula, we have negative b, so 0, plus or minus the square root of 0 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 8, all divided by 2 times 1. Okay, so simplifying this, we're left with plus or minus the square root of negative 32, all divided by 2. So simplifying what's under our square root further, we end up with plus or minus 4i root 2 over 2. And then to simplify the fraction, we end up with plus or minus 2i root 2. So those are 2 of our zeros. We have positive 2i root 2 and negative 2i root 2. But we're not quite done. We still have to do the quadratic formula for the second quadratic. So for this one, I'm going to do that up here. We have our a value is 1 since we have 1x squared. Our b value is 0 since we have 0x. And our c value is 2 since our last term is 2. So same idea, we have negative b, so 0, plus or minus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times 2, all divided by 2 times 1. So simplifying what's underneath our square root, we have plus or minus square root of negative 8, all divided by 2. And this simplifies to plus or minus 2I root 2, all divided by 2. Which, if we cancel out the 2's, that simplifies to plus or minus I root 2. So here's our second part of our solution. So we have both of these things. So for our zeros, x equals plus or minus 2I root 2 and plus or minus I root 2.